directed to the chairperson, not to the applicant or their representative, and they must pertain to the regulations that the commission oversees. For example, although you might have concerns over the traffic resulting from a particular project, the Conservation Commission does not regulate traffic, so traffic concerns will not be discussed in the meeting. Please note that while new points will be given ample time to present, repetitive comments will be cut short in the interest of having all parties be given an opportunity to speak. We ask that all applicants and members of the public please state their name and city or town of residence for the record. To manage remote participation during our hybrid meetings and prevent disruptions, all participants are automatically blocked from unmuting themselves, turning on their video, or sending chat messages. For remote participants who would like to comment on an item on our agenda, we ask that you use the raise hand feature in Zoom during the discussion on that item. If you are joined by phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. Staff will then call on members of the public one at a time and give them permission to unmute themselves. If you are joined by phone, you will then be able to unmute yourself by pressing *6. Would everyone please introduce themselves?
Eric Flint, Division of Planning and Regulatory Services.
Maddie Vandermoon, Division of Planning and Regulatory Services.
Lindsay Nystrom, Commissioner.
Stuart Kirshner, Commissioner.
Kevin Canton, Commissioner.
Excellent. First item, new business, a request for determination. Oh, sorry. Are there any cancellations, postponements, and withdrawals?
Yes, we do have one request for postponement for item number 3, 497 Granite Street. That's a request to postpone the public hearing to August 3rd and extend the constructive grant deadline to August 25th.
Motion to postpone item 3 to August 3rd.
So moved.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirshner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatoni? Aye. Now on to new business. Request for determination of applicability, Providence and Worcester Railroad right-of-way. Is anyone here for the applicant or online?
Do we have the applicant online? No. All right. I suggest we would take this up again at the end of the public hearings, and if no one's present, we can postpone it again.
Okay. Next item, 166 Moreland Street. Is the applicant here or online?
Okay, Rich, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hey, good evening, commission members. How are you?
Good. Who's this?
This is Rich Kirby from LEC Environmental.
Go ahead.
So thanks. I'm representing the owners of 166 Moreland as depicted here in the image. And I do have the sketch plan ready to go. If I could share my screen, or you can do it there. Perfect. So Jessela and Edris Jean would like to install an above-ground pool in the side yard of the property. This is a view of the plan, the sketch plan here. It's a limited frontage lot with a driveway that extends easterly from Moreland Street and accesses the single-family house with the attached garage. There are bordering vegetated wetlands in the back, denoted with the orange line there. And LEC flagged those a couple of years ago. The approximate 25-foot no alteration zone is the red line. And then, the house is surrounded by lawn and landscaped plantings. The pool is proposed on the side of the house, and that's the blue rectangle. There's also a pool deck proposed on the west side of the pool. The pool itself is 16 by 32 above ground, and the deck would be 10 by 16 again on the west side. So the side yard is there's a little bit of a grade to the side yard, and of course the pool needs to be installed on relatively flat land. So what they'll do is basically take the higher ground, which is to the left or to the west, and sort of grade it flat and push that material to the east to sort of infill the lower ground and thereby make a relatively flat surface to accommodate the proposed pool. They are proposing straw wattles along the edge there. That's the yellow dashed line in the image that you see. And that'll protect any the down gradient resource areas while that relatively minor grading activity is in place. All disturbed soils will be restored back to lawn afterward. And as part of this project, they're also proposing to extend a polyvinyl fence. That's the green line. And that'll basically enclose the backyard. It'll intercept the house. And there's a small section of fence just off the attached garage to the north to intercept the side yard fence that occurs along the northern property boundary. Lastly, right near the property line, there is a hazard tree that they'd like to remove. It's in the photograph there. It's sort of engulfed in Asian bittersweet, Asiatic bittersweet, and so they'd like to remove that one tree. I did also include a photograph of the side yard to sort of show what the area looks like, where it was a separate image that I had emailed, but I have that up on my screen if the commission would like to see it. Looping back to the site, there was an enforcement order for removal of vegetation within the eastern portion of the property. LEC had specified and the owner installed a number of sapling trees, or rather shrubs in the area. We had placed blue ribbon on all of the shrubs that were planted. However, it's so densely vegetated, I was only able to find 8 of them. 8 of the, I believe it was 12 that were installed. That said, the land back there is extremely well vegetated. It's very dense and thick with shrubs and vines and things. So I think the functionality of those plantings has been effectively replaced by the vegetation that's naturally infilled in the area. There's a couple more photographs that are sort of representative of what that land looks like in the next page. Maybe didn't make it into the presentation here, but it was included in the RDA. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Thank you. Questions or comments from staff?
All right, so the proposed location of the pool and deck are over 50 feet from the resource area, so this is considered...
That's correct.
Oh, yep.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's correct.
Yep, so this is considered a minor activity within the buffer zone in the Wetlands Protection Act and is exempt from filing, but they still needed to file under the Wetlands Protection Ordinance. And also the new fence they're proposing is further away than the current fence out there. And the tree, in the photos, you can kind of see it is kind of dying off and not super healthy, and the bittersweet's not helping its efforts. So no concern from staff removing or installing this pool or removing the tree or installing the fence. As mentioned, there was an enforcement order issued in 2020. They came before the Conservation Commission last year and had their restoration plan approved, and it was implemented last year. We did receive a report in September about the health of the plants, and they also provided a report as part of this filing showing that the restoration plantings are doing well, and that area has basically been restored at this point with native vegetation in there. So I also recommend, if the commission can lift the enforcement order at this point, because it has met what was required. And as far as the pool goes, I would recommend a condition that any dewatering of the pool water shall be directed away from the resource area.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, questions, comments? I do have a question about how the site is accessed for the grading and what type of machinery they intend to bring in.
That is a great question. There is limited space if you look on the driveway as you come down, and if the machinery were to turn right in front of the house, there is space to get a small sort of Bobcat type machine through there. I can't imagine they're going to need anything significantly larger than that, but if you wanted to condition that only small machinery be used to move the soil around to create the flat area for the pool, I think that would be just fine.
Okay, and then I know you're addressing the dewatering, but there are specific instructions or methodologies for draining the pool, should it be necessary? I mean, it's hard to imagine them draining it in any way that wouldn't impact the wetlands because they're surrounded.
Sure. Also a good question. In our experience, the chlorine that's used in these pool systems, if you don't add chlorine for several days or a week, depending on how sunny it is, the chlorine sort of dissipates. And so the chlorine levels drop pretty significantly. At that point, it would be safe to dewater the pool. And really, at that point, all you're really concerned about is erosion. So, a slow release of the water. You could also, put down a piece of plywood or something to sort of dissipate the velocity as it flows over land. The water is going to travel toward the wetland to the east, regardless of where you put it on this property, because the entire property slopes in that direction. But I think if they were to, and usually if you are going to lower the level of the pool, it's going to be the end of the season. And at that point, you've stopped adding chlorine, and the chlorine dissipates, and the water is, relatively chlorine-free.
Is it possible to stipulate that? I mean, this actually hasn't come up, but maybe once in terms of where the water was going to go, and testing for the chlorine level is within a homeowner's purview, or is it something you've got to send out to a lab?
I think it's within a homeowner's purview. They have these chemical analysis strips. I did this when I was a kid for our above ground pool. So you can use these little paper strips that have some chemistry at the end of them, and depending on what color it turns, it tells you how much chlorine's in the pool. And at that point, you can once the chlorine levels are low or near zero, that would be the time in which you would dewater the pool.
Further comments from staff?
I mean, I guess we could recommend that they, I don't know, dewater the pool when chlorine is at its lowest level.
Do you have? Yep, go ahead.
Through the chair, is there a scientific basis for how much chlorine would be acceptable for dewatering?
I'm sure there's some minimum level out there somewhere. I don't know what it is, to be honest.
Because I'd be inclined to put that as a condition with some kind of a level associated with it. I have no problems that the homeowner does the testing, but giving them a benchmark other than I think it's okay is what I'm looking for.
I'm looking up something now. So just a quick look here. The city of Edgerton, Kansas indicates that maximum safe chlorine level for release to a vegetated area would be 0.1 parts per million or less.
Does that relate to those chem strips that you were talking about? Some kind of an indicator or something we can put
let me
in
look that
generic
up.
language for, for a homeowner?
Do you happen to know if Worcester permits a discharge to the sewer system?
I haven't seen, yes, they do, but I haven't seen permits for pool discharges to the sewer system. I mean, generally, in cases where we have pools permitted in the buffer zone to wetlands, when there's kind of a slope down towards the wetland from the pool, and no matter which way you send the water, it's going to go there. We just try to stipulate that it be kind kind of spread over as much vegetated area as possible on its way to the wetland, so discharging it at its furthest possible point to give it as much time to.
Okay, and I would think, I mean, in addition to chlorine, just the pH level of the, well, which is the pH level of the pool could affect the,
Yeah, I'm looking as we talk. I mean, I could certainly maybe look into this a little bit more deeply and provide some information to Maddie for her to incorporate a special condition if that works. So I'm looking at a test strip here that goes from 0 to 0.5 to 1 to 3. So for context, according to this strip test here, the safe range for swimming is 1 to 3 parts per million. And this test strip also shows a 0.5 and what 0 looks like, and it just progressively less and less color on the strip.
Okay, so I mean, so then, besides the pH question that was raised, I would be okay with whatever the Kansas City that you quoted earlier, if they're saying it's okay for that parts per million or whatever.
Yeah,
We
0.1.
could equate, if we could just say something similar to, a test strip that associated with whatever that parts per million is, something we could have in there in writing.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like leaving it up to chance.
Yeah, for something like perhaps the applicant shall use adequate pool testing strips to confirm chlorine levels are at or below 0.1 parts per million prior to releasing pool water.
I would be okay with that if the other commissioners are. I mean, makes me feel comfortable. Now we still have the pH question that needs to be answered in fairness.
yeah, and I think a pH strip is easy enough to get as well.
Yes. They usually, I mean, I would imagine if you have a pool test kit,
Yeah, they
you probably get both. It probably gets chlorine, and I would imagine pH also, or just chlorine. But we still have to answer what, are we looking at 7? Are we looking at 6? Are we looking at 8? What are we
Yeah.
looking?
Yeah, the ideal pH level, and again, I'm flying by the seat of my pants a little bit here because I'm looking at AI and I'm trying to, it's giving me the AI result and I'm trying to look at the.
Well, AI is always right?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the websites from which the AI answer was based.
So if I could just interrupt for a minute, I have a DCR, so right from Massachusetts, document on managing, pool water, and the pH measurement prior to discharging any water needs to be between 6.5 and 8.5.
Okay, so we could put that in a condition then.
That should be just fine because typically pool water ranges between 7.2 and 7.8 from what I'm looking at. So that would be something else that we could certainly include.
So incorporating those into one condition prior to discharge, I can go along with that now, I'll leave their decisions up to the other commissioners.
Any other commissioners with comments or want to weigh in? Is there anyone here from the public on the project? Anybody online? So I think if I heard my fellow commissioner correctly, we were looking to stipulate that prior to discharging the pool water, we would be looking for a pH test that comes back between 6.5 and 8.5, and a chlorine level, which is what, 1 part per million?
Well, actually, drinking water has typical concentrations between 0.2 to 2.0. So maybe if we were to get it down to 0.5 or less, that would be well within the lower range of drinking water.
Okay. And that, and that when the pool water is discharged, it's discharged over the maximum vegetated area as slowly as possible.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to issue a negative determination with the conditions as described and lift the enforcement order?
Separate votes or
Second.
one? Separate votes.
Just separate, okay.
Nice try.
Was that a motion? If it is, I second it.
Second the first half.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Frattoni? Aye. Okay. Then on to the matter of the enforcement order? Do you want to take that up now?
Yeah, we can take that up now.
Okay.
Motion to lift the enforcement order.
So moved.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Frattoni? Aye. Okay, all set.
All right, thanks very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, you too. Item number 3 was postponed. Next, item number 4, notice of intent, 2 Northborough Street.
Good evening. Mike Andrade with Graves Engineering. With me also tonight is Mr. Rod Haddad, owner of the subject property. So we're here before you on a piece of land on the corner of Northborough, Peabody, and Plantation. It's an existing approximately, quarter acre property with a 1-story, 3,000 square foot building on it. The project proposes to renovate the entire site and building, adding a second story, renovating the site to add new curb cuts, parking, lighting, landscaping, stormwater management, to house Mr. Haddad's Napoli Deli business, which is currently operating in Shrewsbury for some time. The property's been in his family for many years. It was previously a dry cleaner operation, which has been closed for, I don't know, a decade or decades or so, I think, right? The dry cleaner's been closed for decades. It's all right. The dry cleaner's been closed for a long time.
Well, it was a satellite. They only
Yeah.
did shirts and laundry on the premise.
It's not that important, but it's been
Not open.
I apologize.
Thank you, Rod. It's been closed and vacant for some time. There's been, in the past years, several attempts by Mr. Haddad to get this project off the ground with different iterations that weren't successful due to some contractor issues. But we're here tonight to propose this project to the commission under the local stormwater protection zone ordinance. We've been through zoning board already and have those approvals. So we're seeking commission's approval and then also planning board Wednesday night. I will take any questions anyone has. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Staff comments?
Yep, so this is a local-only filing, so there's no wetlands associated with the property, but it's within 100 feet of a catch basin over on Peabody Street. So staff had relatively minor comments. We did have questions about the ledge on site. So that was answered in the response question. Essentially, the stormwater system is designed with the knowledge that there is ledge on this site and is designed to provide the required recharge volume for the system. So no major concerns from staff at this point.
Okay. Commissioners, questions or comments about the project? The site's relatively flat.
It's not actually. The high point is sort of in the, I guess, as we're looking at it here, the right, bottom right corner, right where that circle is, where we're proposing a stockpile. That's the high point. It slopes down to Peabody Street and then slopes down to Northborough Street. Right now, there's an existing parking lot right off of Northborough Street where the stabilized entrance is. That's the only real flat part besides the building on the
So
land now.
the current water is sheeting towards the street.
Yeah, so the parking lot will roughly follow existing contours. We have to cut into it a little bit. And we're collecting all that water in 2 points. One near Northborough Street with a catch basin that goes to a treatment unit in the underground recharge system. And a small portion, yep, that's a better one there. A small portion of the parking driveway on the south side of the building goes to another catch basin treatment unit and out to Peabody Street.
Okay, so you're not doing much to change the contours of the property from the current,
With,
other than that?
in the back corner we are, and actually there's a retaining wall necessary in order to do that grading, but we're trying not to. We're aware there's ledge there, so we were very careful about that with the grading to try to minimize ledge removal.
Okay. I don't have additional questions. Is there anyone from the public on the project? Online? Is there a motion?
Motion to close.
Commissioner Canton? Oh, sorry, second. Was that a second from
I think so.
Commissioner
Yes.
Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner? Commissioner Kirschner?
Sorry, I was muted. Aye.
Hi. Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Fertoni, aye. Is there proposed,
Yep. So in addition to the standard conditions, staff recommends 25 for revised plans depicting a silt sack in the catch basin on Peabody Street. Provide a digital let's see. Nope. All right. 37 for a stormwater management system. 38 for infiltration unit inspection, 39 for certification of stormwater infrastructure, 48 for dust control, 49 for dewatering, 50 for cement truck washing, 56 for spill prevention, 64 for as-built plan when requesting the certificate of compliance, 66 for sand and salt, and ongoing conditions 37 and 66.
any questions about the conditions? No. Is there a motion?
Motion to issue the order of conditions.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Fertoni, aye. All set? Thank
Thank you.
you. Next item, 283 Lake Avenue, Quinsigamond State Park.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
If you can unmute Andrew Keel, he's going to kick us off.
You could introduce yourself in the meantime.
Sure, yeah, he was going to do all the intros, but Andrea Kendall with LEC, Environmental Consultants. He does have, did you receive that presentation that we sent late in the day? Okay, great, thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrew Keel with Hatch. We are the design consultant for the Lake Park Site Improvements Project. The client is the DCR. The DCR project manager, Joey Silvera, is also on this call. And then the permitting consultant for this project is LEC. Obviously, Andrew is sitting in front of you there. The goals of this project quickly are the project is kind of a two-phase project. What we've submitted to you tonight is phase one. And the ultimate goal is to permanently close the inaccessible swimming beach that's currently at Lake Quinsigamond and replace it with a safer, reimagined lakefront kind of overlook experience. Kind of the first phase of that would be still kind of having a water element that's redirected up to the parking lot in the form of a spray deck that would also be paired with a playground, and then just a more family-friendly, kind of safer, more universally accessible space kind of at the top where the parking lot is currently adjacent to the bathhouse. So this image that we're looking at right now, just to provide some context, most of you are probably familiar with the site, is kind of the overall loop that goes around the park. Our project area is kind of just east of the lake access beach at the top and then the bathhouse. So it's a portion of the parking lot that would be transformed from parking lot asphalt to, again, the spray deck and the playground space. We can go to the next slide. So here are the two phases I was just mentioning. Phase two kind of has a bit more to it. It made sense to kind of break them into two phases. Also, just financially, DCR is trying to kind of do as much as they can, but kind of bite this off in pieces. So Phase 1 is outlined in yellow. Again, this is the lower kind of south end portion of the parking lot, immediately adjacent to the bathhouse. And you can see there's a little piece that extends down to Lake Ave that would kind of be a smaller kind of secondary pathway that would connect Lake Avenue parking with these improvements as well. Go to the next slide. This is a concept rendering. Again, the bathhouse is at the top. The turnaround that's currently there, it's a similar turnaround. The parking lot has a one-way, it's a one-way loop, so you come across the bottom and kind of loop back up towards the bathhouse and exit. So this is kind of shortening the parking lot, adding a little bit of a drop-off area space there. And then the blue indicates kind of this spray deck area. The playground is kind of the brown and green tones. And at the bottom, you can see the arrow that takes you back down towards Lake Avenue, that path connection there. And then at the very top right, you can see there's a little cooling station. It's just kind of a pole that provides like a mist for people that are kind of using that broader circuit path that we saw before that's very popular out there at the lake. Go to the next slide. Okay, so Andrea's going to talk about the resource areas and kind of where they overlap here on the existing conditions plan.
So the area confined in blue is the bank of intermittent stream. There's a stream that flows onto the property from the city's lake park that's located planned south of here. It flows planned north through a narrow stream channel, and then further to the right, it opens up into more of an open water BVW system, and then exits through a raised grate culvert system, which has some function of flood control, and then it discharges through a pipe conveyance system to Lake Quinsigamond. So the 100-foot buffer zone is in red, and that buffer zone includes the upland forested slope. It includes some lawn area. It includes an existing drainage outfall that's to the right of the circular tip, and then it includes some of the parking lot. There's also the stormwater protection zone. That intermittent stream through StreamStats is confirmed as intermittent. It has a 0.18 square mile watershed. There is no floodplain associated with the site. And in terms of the vegetation, it's a mix of native and non-native vegetation, and that comes into play a little bit later, but we included a list of that, and we can go into detail, but Andrew's going to get into that a little bit later. Are there any questions on the resource areas before we move on? Okay, great.
Okay, so this is the same, essentially the same exact concept plan that you just saw a minute ago. The resource area boundary, the buffer zone boundary that Andrew just pointed out, you can kind of see the limit of it here as it cuts across kind of the lower playground space. It's a little tricky to see, but essentially there's like a double kind of arc on the right-hand side of the screen by the single bench, kind of easternmost bench. That's the existing limit of the parking lot. So we're kind of just inside the limit of that parking lot. So there's a little bit of de-paving there. And then the parking lot kind of, again, shifts back over to the left as we're kind of reducing the length of it to put this, it kind of fit this project in. The surface of the playground is porous. So what used to be a large chunk of asphalt will now be a porous surface. And we can go to the next slide here. This is the site prep and demo, so we're kind of jumping around the plans here a little bit. The blue is a representation of the trees to be removed. as part of this project, it seemed like a really good opportunity to kind of reduce some of the Norway maple canopy that's kind of creeping in pretty aggressively and kind of starting to transition into a bit of a monoculture. So there are 9 total trees. 1 of them is dead. 8 of them are Norways. They're all kind of along either the top of that slope that starts to kind of go back down towards the resource area or kind of just as the slope begins. And there's a whole bunch of smaller kind of 6-inch or smaller Norway saplings in there too. The hatched area that kind of mirrors that kind of those blue dots that goes up is fairly dense invasives along there. There's a lot of burning bush, bittersweet. So it would just be, as part of this project, it would make a lot of sense to try and kind of attack that. Obviously, whenever you're dealing with invasives, it's not a one-stop shop. You have to kind of keep hitting it, but this would be a good opportunity when these improvements are going in to kind of take a first pass at removing those and kind of restoring a more native organic canopy structure in this area. We can go on to the next slide. Okay, this is the planting plan. Going back on top of the removals that we just talked about, there are 26 total trees. I think there's 11 canopy trees up there, and the rest are kind of understory trees, cornice and Cerebusberry. You can see kind of there's a little cone shape that goes down. What we're proposing is kind of a woodland seed mix along the back of that stretch. So it's kind of the shoulder of where the parking lot used to be, where the grade starts to drop down kind of towards that lower wetland area. We'd like to do kind of a woodland seed mix. There needs to be kind of a mowable area just for maintenance that's immediately adjacent to the fence of the playground area, but kind of outside of 6 feet or so, we would basically do a woodland seed mix to kind of supplement kind of that woodland edge, and again, kind of build up the diversity and the habitat value of kind of that space. We can go on to the next slide. This is the grading plan. And just to quickly point out, the stormwater that currently comes down the parking lot, again, the kind of the wetland areas to the right, so the water all kind of drains to the right of the parking lot. There's an existing system that picks all that water up, and you can kind of see on the far right of the screen, there's a head wall that's currently there. It's very old. What we're proposing is basically to replace that in the exact location that it is now. So it's almost more of a repair, but limit disturbance as much as we can. But unfortunately, the pipe size that's there currently by today's kind of just Massachusetts standards is not adequate for how it would be designed now. So we do have to kind of replace the pipe and then replace the head wall. But because we're doing it in a location that it already exists, I think we can really minimize any disturbance along that kind of that path, that corridor. We can go to the next slide. And this is the drainage improvement slide. Hillary Holmes is our stormwater engineer in this project. She's going to talk briefly about the stormwater approach.
Hi, Hillary Holmes with Hatch. So as Andrew had mentioned, the existing parking lot and surrounding area, there's a couple catch basins with piping that goes to that outfall. There's really no existing treatment happening or infiltration happening on site. So part of our proposed compliance for stormwater is to comply with the Mass DEP stormwater standards and DCR's redevelopment and water quality treatment requirements. So our approach is to retain 0.8 inches times the impervious area, have our proposed peak flows less than our pre-development peak flows, reduce the total suspended solids by 80%. This project is also within DCR's priority watershed. So the intent for those priority watersheds is to maximize stormwater treatment and pollutant removal. So there is a TMDL for total phosphorus reduction. There's no specific target. So we are targeting to try to remove as much phosphorus as possible. So the approach includes, as Andrew had mentioned, kind of reusing that existing outfall and repairing it, reducing the impervious area for the proposed site compared to the existing. We have the porous pavement for the playground surfacing. We also are any runoff from the impervious areas for the playground area and the surrounding sidewalks, as well as the parking lot area to the sort of your screen left. That's going to be directed to an underground stormwater infiltration system. So that'll be captured by area drains and deep sump catch basins, that underground infiltration systems, that gray shaded rectangle on your screen. So that's perforated pipe and stone. One thing for this site is we did not do infiltration testing during design, but we do have some record information that indicates that this would be like a sandy soil material. And I think we did coordinate with the agent when we were on site to propose to do infiltration testing prior to the installation of the system, just to confirm depth to groundwater, the soil type, and that it's going to infiltrate as we expect it will.
Thanks, Hillary. And one other just quick thing, as far as the timeline of this project goes, the goal would be to complete the design this summer and put it out to bid to have phase 1 of the project open summer of next year. So that would be the goal. We can turn it over to, it looks like Joey's got something to say here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joseph Silvera. I'm the project manager here. I just wanted to thank everyone for their time. I wanted to just mention one small thing. We currently do not have construction funding secured, so the timeline that Andrew explained would be the most ideal if funding is secured. But right now, we are actively working to get these designs bid ready so that when we do have construction funding, we could move forward with this. And so I just wanted to say thank you again for everyone's consideration on this.
Thanks for correcting me, Joey.
Thank you. Staff comments on the project? I know we don't have a DEP number yet, so there will not be a vote tonight, but.
Correct, yeah, we're still waiting on a DEP file number, but in speaking to the applicant, it sounded like they wanted to give a presentation and get some initial thoughts from the commission at tonight's meeting. So Maddie and I did a site visit with the project team to take a look at the site. Ultimately, the proposal does a lot of good things, reducing impervious, improving stormwater management, both through the reduction in impervious, but also the additional infrastructure, removal of invasive plants, and planting of native species are all good things that we would look for in a project as it relates to the interests protected under the Act. So overall, I think this is a great project. I really don't have any concerns. As far as the test pit data for the infiltration unit, that's also fine with staff. Willing to include that as a condition of approval. Typically, we would want that up front if this were like a new development that was proposing additional impervious, but since it's not even strictly required to provide this infrastructure, no problem with just conditioning that and then reviewing test pit data at a later date prior to construction. So yeah, that's it. Again, obviously no DEP file number, so can't close tonight, but no concerns from staff about the project.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions or comments at this point? So I have a question kind of related to the discharge of swimming pools. There's water in the spray park that circulates. Does it just drain into this infiltration system when it exits the splash pad?
Yeah, Andrew, do you want to take that question, or Hillary?
Yeah, I can take it. So we do have drains in the splash pad area, and those drains would be directed to the infiltration system.
Okay, and the splash pad is operated with just city water, or is it?
Yes, it is. It's potable water they would be
Okay.
operated with.
Got it. Okay,
If I could just make a comment on that, right? These are bollard-activated spray heads, so the water is not running continuously. They're running in a sequence when they're activated.
yep, I've been in some of these splash parks. Is anyone here from the public on the project? Anyone online? No? I look forward to it, so hopefully you get your file number soon. So that's it, unless you have questions for us.
No, hopefully next month we'll have DEP comments, and we'll be able to address if they have any and be able to wrap it up then.
Yep, that'd be great.
Good.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh,
Thanks, everyone.
yep,
Yes.
thank you.
Motion to postpone the hearing to, or continue the hearing to August 3rd?
I got that.
Second.
Got it. Okay. Commissioner Canton,
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner,
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom,
Aye.
Commissioner Fatoni, aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Next item, number 6, 35 State Road. Hi.
Good evening. Yeah. So I'm Paul Linkarski, my wife Susan, the owners of the property. Today, existing is a small two-story retail building, which we've owned for some years, 30-something years. Our plan is to remove that building, and we'll be building 8 one-bedroom units. There'll be 16 parking spots in compliance with Worcester's zoning. Today, there's approximately 14 existing spots. The existing building today is on a septic system. We will be going on to the sewer system. We do have city water. We will be eliminating the gas service to the property under the Worcester's stretch code for their compliance in the type of building that it has to be. We will be putting in the underground retention, water retention area for the parking lot and the roof drain system. Accessory landscaping, etc. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. Staff comments on the project? And again, you don't have a DEP file number either, so there's no voting on this matter tonight.
I'm sorry?
You don't have a DEP file number yet, so
No.
we won't be voting on this, but we can certainly talk about it.
Okay.
Yep. So comments from staff?
Yeah, so I guess just starting off with the wetland delineation, there's a bordering vegetated wetland associated with a stream to the east of the property, which you can see depicted on the plans on screen. We did do a review of the wetland delineation and did not have any concerns about the flagging, although some of the flags have faded, and we'd request that the flags be refreshed with the flag numbers visible so that they can be ID'd in the field. Related to stormwater management, there are some concerns related to this being an outstanding resource water and Zone A. Zone A's, which are mapped by Mass DEP, Standard 6 specifically prohibits new discharges to within Zone A's that are not related to projects for public drinking water supply. We have a pending inquiry with DEP about the applicability of that for this project, given that it's less than 9 residential unit project, which is subject to the standards to the maximum extent practicable. So we're looking to have a conversation with DEP about that. Obviously, we would have a preference for stormwater on the parking lot and roof runoff to have treatment and have infiltration and be discharged rather than just a sheet flow across the site. But it's a conversation that we still need to have with DEP to make sure that we're on the same page. I've spoken with the applicant's engineer about that as well. And he agreed with the approach to, check in with DEP and get their opinion on the question about the Zone A. In addition, just a few minor comments. We haven't issued a formal comment letter yet because we're waiting on the feedback that I just mentioned, but just some minor comments related to revising the erosion control details, ask for some plantings ideally between the parking lot and wetland to provide more of a naturalized buffer. And then also just for the commission's awareness, we did receive a notice from the Commonwealth's DCR, their Watershed Protection Division, regarding the need for a variance under the Watershed Protection Act. I did speak with somebody from that program just to talk generally about the project, and it didn't seem like there were major concerns, but we agreed to keep each other posted on any approvals coming from either side. So still some unanswered questions about the stormwater. I think regardless about whether or not the discharge would be allowed, there may need to be some changes to the system just because Standard 6 would apply, and the stormwater report doesn't currently call out the applicability of Standard 6, so we'd need some updated documentation and potentially some changes to the stormwater management on site, depending on also, again, how the question goes with DEP about the discharge itself.
Okay, there's a lot going on this site. The commissioners have any other questions or comments for the applicant? Anyone here or online? No? Did you understand the issues right now with the property?
Excuse me?
Are you familiar with the issues with the property, that you basically fall in a drinking water zone?
Yes.
And so we need to wait for decisions from the state?
So we've met with DCR.
Okay.
And we filed for a, what they call a variance. We're waiting for that date. We did go over, though, the mapping, et cetera. And so we're not in the 2 zones of serious concern to them, would be under the Cohen bill, would be the 200-foot zone and the 400-foot zone. So we end up being on their mapping in what's called the low yield zone. That's where we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're aware we're waiting for all of these things to happen first?
No, to be honest, no. But, so in other words, what you're saying is that you want me to get that variance determination from them, forward it to you people.
We're not saying that.
Okay.
It doesn't have to happen sequentially in that order, but we are waiting for feedback from Mass DEP about the question about a new stormwater discharge in a Zone A. So I know the Watershed Protection Act mapping does not show this in a primary protection zone, but the DEP mapping does show it in a Zone A. And I know that doesn't normally, my understanding is that that's not normal for there to be a discrepancy there, but ultimately when we're looking at evaluating Standard 6 of the Massachusetts Stormwater Standards, we're looking at DEP's mapping of Zone A's, which is covered by the drinking water regulations, and not DCR's mapping of primary protection zone related to the Watershed Protection Act. So Standard 6, again, is requiring that, or prohibiting rather, new discharges within a Zone A, and this is within a mapped Zone A. Despite it not being within a mapped primary protection zone, it's within DEP's mapped Zone A. So if the question that we have to DEP is there some leniency on the discharge within the Zone A when the project is only subject to the stormwater standards to the maximum extent practicable, which this is based on the number of units being a residential project. So less than, it's a project from 5 to 9 residential units, which only requires compliance to the max extent practicable. So for standard 6, it still requires compliance with pollution prevention requirements, but it's just not clear to us whether that includes the prohibition of discharges in Zone As. And I guess our position on it in reviewing the application is that we would rather allow, we would rather see a discharge within the Zone A if it means that the water from the site is going to be treated through the stormwater system that's proposed, rather than just sheet flow across the site with no single point source discharge. So I guess we're just waiting for feedback to make sure that our interpretation of how the stormwater standards could be met for this project is consistent with what DEP would allow. So we have a pending inquiry with them. They have yet to issue a file number, so their technical reviewer hasn't finished their review of this notice of intent. And again, I'm just specifically talking about the NOI under the Wetlands Protection Act, not the variance with DCR under the Watershed Protection Act. So we've been in communication with DCR about it and have agreed to kind of keep each other in the loop on what's happening, but we're not necessarily waiting for them to make a determination on the variance before we close out this process. What we do need is for DEP to issue a file number for this notice of intent. And so for that reason, we're saying we're not in a position where we're able to close this hearing tonight. So we'd ask that you allow it to be continued to the next meeting on August 3rd, so that we have that additional time for DEP to issue a file number, issue any comments that they have, and for us to coordinate with them on their interpretation of Standard 6 for this site.
So is there a timeline for DEP to response?
They've been taking roughly, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks for file number issuance from the filing date.
Okay.
Recently in the central region. There's not a regulatory timeline that's set by them that dictates how quickly they have to issue file numbers. But I have been in communication with DEP's circuit rider for the central region to talk about this project specifically, and I know they were going to flag it for the technical reviewer and try to get me in touch with whoever that is. So they're aware that we have this question about it. They just haven't issued their technical comments for it yet.
So some of this is beyond me, so I could have my Vito, I think he spoke to you.
Yep.
I could have him contact you, and the two of you can go over it.
Yeah, and again, we're really just...
I can understand it a little better.
Yeah, and I'm happy to meet separately with you and talk about it between now and the next meeting as well.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so we'd be looking for you to agree to postpone until the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And we just need to vote on that.
Yeah, okay.
Motion to continue the hearing to August 3rd.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatoni, aye. So hopefully we have a DEP number before the next meeting, and we would see you August 3rd.
August 3rd, okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Next item, a request for amended order of conditions for lots 9, 10, 11, and 12 on Chester Street.
Hi, I'm James Tatro from Expedited Engineering, here representing Modern Structures, Inc. Principal Mike Pham is also here. Back in October of last year, the commission issued an order of conditions for the work on these 4 lots. Since that time, we subsequently had review that by the planning board, which zigzagged a little bit in regard to the preference of how the slope behind the proposed homes was treated. And also the new director of engineering came in and asserted a little different standards and asked for a little different extra information in a few regards. So what we have before you now is a plan dated, I have to go check, May 26, 2026, which we would ask to be referred to in the order. And I could just sum up quickly a couple of the differences. As part of the review that the director of engineering did, he asked us to have a geotechnical engineer opine as to the stability of the slopes behind these lots. That geotechnical engineer took some samples, said that you would want to have a slope of at least 2.6 to 1 or flatter. to be able to say that you were going to not have any issue according to the standard methodology, standard calculations with any of, I think there were 6 different modes of failure that were looked at. So the plans now show a 2.8 to 1 slope behind these lots. We actually, I think, made the backyard a little smaller on a couple of them to fit that in there. There's still some retaining wall, particularly on the, I'll say, the northmost lot, number 9. And we had another engineer stamp plans for that. So in its basics, it's not so very different a plan from that which the commission previously reviewed, but a lot of the minor specifics, exactly what the slope is, exactly the extent of walls, et cetera, are different. And we're just asking that the commission please amend the order to now refer to this plan dated May 26th.
Okay, thank you. Staff comments?
So no major concerns with the amendment request. I think the main thing, I guess, falling within the commission's purview is just kind of the increased limit of clearing to create that more gentle slope and eliminate the retaining walls. You know, within the buffer zone. Obviously, this is a somewhat unique situation because the wetland is actually up gradient of the limit of work. So the concern of erosion to the wetland itself is less of a concern than, I guess, erosion to the street during construction. As far as the hillside goes, is the plan for that just to be grass? Is there would the applicant be amenable to doing some sort of tree replacement planting on the hillside in the back there?
It is primarily to be grass, but the applicant may do some additional plantings depending on how each particular lot looks. I can't say for certain that there would be any specific other ones. I know we added plantings at the base of the slope, intending specifically that those be hydrophilic species, willow bush, et cetera, but not on the slope itself, no.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think we'd certainly recommend additional plantings within the buffer zone as much as possible on that hillside, just because of the loss of tree canopy that's there. You know, in addition to wildlife habitat, obviously, I think one of the main things here would be to help prevent erosion. I would think also it would be beneficial to the down gradient structures to have more vegetation between these wetlands and their properties, to have just, you know, additional attenuation of runoff down the hillside. But yeah, I guess from a regulatory standpoint, no major concerns with the amendment request.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any questions, comments, or concerns?
If I could jump in, I just was consulting with the applicant, and he suggested towards the end that Eric is pointing, having different ground cover ivies, et cetera, planted on that slope to help out. They certainly have no objection to any condition calling for that.
I mean, my concern is for the runoff to the street during the construction process, how you're going to control. I assume that you'll go in and clear cut the entire hillside and then start making your cuts and grade changes. You will have a construction entrance. You'll have equipment coming and going. And even if you have erosion control along the downside.
We actually added, I don't remember where in the process this came in, the interim grading plans, which are calling for, even if the entire limit of work, over that entire limit of work, trees are cut, that, for instance, at the start, the stumps would be left in place and a temporary settling basin created on the north, I should get the lot numbers right, excuse me. Yeah, at the upper lots. So we actually have 3 interim grading plans there to call out how trees would be cut but stumps left, multiple temporary settling basins gradually get pared down to a single one on Lot 12, stockpile area, and the site exit and entrance points. And I don't remember if that was Eric or if that was the planning board who were pushing for that, but we did actually, in the plans dated May 26th, you see sheets IG-8, IG-9, and IG-10, and those are 3 stages of grading and temporary settling basin. And we actually, in there, had sized for instance, I'm looking at sheet IG-9, and it shows a temporary settling basin on Lot 12, and there's indication there of the size of it and the area draining. So I think we did go pretty far towards the goal that the chair
Right,
suggested.
and then the sequencing for the houses themselves, you're starting at 9 and working your way to 12?
Correct. In fact, if you go to sheet IG-10, is a look at, okay, at some point, Lot 9 and Lot 10 have been done, what is left? There's still a stockpile on Lot 11, still a temporary settling basin on Lot 12.
And in terms of trucks moving in and out, you've got like a riprap pad for them to exit and enter the property, but during the cutting phase, where are they going in?
The initial entrance point is going to be from Lot 12. Sheet IG, oops, am I on the right one? Excuse me. Yeah, sheet IG-8 and IG-9 both show the only entrance point from Lot 12, and shows what the limit of cutting and the limit over which there would be clearing and grubbing, which would create exposed soil.
What's your time frame for this project?
We're hoping to get the first 4 houses done.
Could you come up to the microphone? Thank you.
Through the chair, we're hoping to get the first 4 done hopefully by the beginning of next summer. It depends on,
So when, from the time you clear cut the lot,
from the time I clear cut.
what's the timing from the lot is clear?
So normally it takes us 6 months to do from lot clearing to the finished house, per house.
Okay, and then the slope is stabilized or seeded with currently just a grass mix?
Yeah, and if seasonally, if there's area that would be open and can't be vegetated through winter, we'd apply
cover.
stump grindings. That's
Okay.
the preferred
So
temporary
mulching,
stabilization. It's
you'll
really
mulch
the
it.
best thing.
Okay. And you're local?
Yes.
Okay, so you can respond on this site? I mean, are you the general contractor for the project, or are
Yeah,
you?
but I am the general contractor for the project.
You are, so you're responsible for
Yes.
all of this? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any additional questions. Is there anyone here from the public?
Just going back to the slopes question quickly, I think you call out on the plans, erosion control matting, correct? Is that during?
Yeah, it's, even though at 2.6 to 1, or 2.8 to 1, we're almost to the point where DEP would say you don't need it, we're still proposing that be North American Green SC 150BN matting.
Okay. Do we, and I'm sorry if this is on the plans, but is it called out what seed mix would be applied to the slope?
That might not have been called out. Just a second, let me get the... Okay, sorry, trying to read the
worries,
landscape
yeah.
notes really quickly in this lovely 4-point type.
Yeah.
There is some indicates slope seed mix for areas steeper than 3 to 1, and it goes into the, again, the composition of that with fescue, rye, et cetera. That is one of the notes, the landscaping notes on the sheet L7.
I guess just going back to the question about like the hillside planting, would the plan be, if there were no tree or shrub plantings on the hillside, to mow it, or would the intention be to just let it grow?
Through the chair, just to let it grow, so this could stabilize the whole slope. the bigger the plants is, there's more roots, so that's the
Okay.
intention.
I think we'd recommend in that case like a erosion control native seed mix, like a seed mix that's designed for a no-mow slope, basically, to provide additional stability as the stabilizing method and kind of the long-term vegetation for the hillside.
You're right. That's, sure. We would have no objection whatsoever to that being a condition.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? So motion to close the hearing?
Motion to close.
So moved.
Commissioner Canton?
Second.
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Frattoni? Aye.
All right, and then for the order of conditions, just kind of minor modifications to the existing order, kind of striking the existing revised plans condition and just adding a condition that a revised plan be provided, noting that the hillside will be seeded with a no-mow conservation seed mix or erosion control seed mix or similar. And then striking condition 25 related to the operation and maintenance plan for the infiltration trenches, since those have been removed. I think we still are waiting on operation and maintenance plans for the area drains, though, for the yard. So we would keep that condition unless that was included with the new stormwater report, which is quite possible, but we'll just leave the condition in there. And then no other recommended changes for the existing order.
Is there a motion?
Motion to issue the order of conditions.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Frattoni? Aye.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Board.
Next up, request for certificate of compliance, 51 Oriole Drive.
All right. So this is for a large apartment complex that was constructed. It was a local-only filing. There were no wetlands associated with the property. Staff did conduct a site visit last Friday and confirmed the site is fully stabilized. An as-built plan has been provided, along with a letter from an engineer confirming the retaining wall and infiltration units have been constructed according to the approved plans. So no concern from staff with the issuance of a certificate of compliance for this site.
Is there a motion?
Motion to,
Go ahead, Stuart.
second.
Go ahead, Stuart.
Motion to, the condition of compliance.
Second. Second. Commissioner Canton?
Aye. Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Frattoni? Aye. Next, 2 Lodi.
Sorry to interject, but we just had a request to take item number 9G out of order, as the consultant has to head to another meeting.
Go somewhere
shortly.
else?
So if we could,
Okay.
if the chair is amenable to that.
Do we have anyone online for the other certificate of compliance?
So 70 Webster Street is here.
Webster Street is here.
Yeah.
Can we just take Webster Street and go? That shouldn't take long.
I have a Zoom or a phone call to Ashley for a couple of projects at 7:04. That's the only reason I asked. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Nick, you should be able to go.
Hey, good evening, everyone. 70 Webster Street. All the erosion control placement is still out there until we get the certificate of compliance, but I know the engineer of record submitted a letter requesting the certificate. There was some minor changes, but nothing too crazy, kind of transformer pad relocation due to the service provider, the 24-foot aisle on the west parking bank was reduced to 22 feet wide, which is allowed as part of the special permit decision. Associated with those 7 parking spaces, there was supposed to be a guardrail. Instead, there's a 2-foot-high section of concrete retaining wall and a 4-foot-high aluminum fence, which is still serving the same purpose. The landscaping was missing a couple of shrubs due to an area that was already well established, so they left it and they added some more trees. There was 38 trees installed, 33 required for the permit, and 43 shrubs were installed, which 47 were required, but there's a total plantings of 81 compared to the 80 required. The riprap pad, which is on the southwest of the installed concrete retaining wall, had to be extended just about 5 feet, just for slope maintenance and prevent erosion in that area. That's probably the biggest point of difference. I know it is a little bit closer to the resource area. Besides that, everything else was done in accordance with the plan that was submitted in June, sorry. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Comments?
Yep, so staff conducted a site visit on June 9th to check the site. They did a nice, robust planting plan out there. So one thing to note, the commission did request that shrubs be planted down gradient of the outfall, but ultimately they decided not to do that since the area was well vegetated and they didn't want to disturb what was already existing to install these new plantings, which seemed reasonable. Yeah, so that was the only thing that staff really flagged when they were out there, but no concerns.
Commissioners, any questions? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to issue the order of compliance.
Second.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatoni? Aye. All set, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.
So we will take out of order number 9G, 198 Granite Street, and we will proceed to 2 Lodi after.
Thank you, Glenn Kravosky from EBT Environmental Consultants, and Mr. Chris DiMaggio who can introduce himself, but out of the Lindis Corp. We're here to answer questions on the last revision to letters, June 18th, questions from the Conservation Commission. And those questions ranged from 1 to 10. And I did find that there is a discrepancy between the plan submitted and created by Thompson and Liston and EBT. There is one place where we talk about 3 to 4 inch subangular rock on the plan, at the top of the plan in a note, and on the bottom of the plan it does talk about 8 to 10 inch rock, 6 to 10 inch rock, and we do mean largest rock in the channel that we create will be 10, and it's ranging down through that lower grade, and we do talk about Hinckley soil, so that will encompass the lowest stuff, 8, 6, 5, 4, down into gravel as we create this channel once we remove the material from the channel. So that was the discrepancy. It's not just 4 to, as I say here, 3 to 4 inch subangular rock on the note above on the plan, sheet 1 of 3. Everything else is what it says on here, as far as no other questions on size of rock or spacing of plants or types of plants. The commission did have questions about the scour, and the reason why we went with larger rock, because we did give you a photograph of what the channel looks like down gradient below sedimentation, and you can see that it is scoured. I do explain in documentation about the peak flows and it coming off the upper sites, the impervious surfaces, causing additional flow over and above what that channel originally handled. And because of that, photo number 1 does show an opened up channel with just some larger rocks sitting in it, and that is scoured over the years from the impervious and peak flows everything Noah says about higher flow rates, and maybe even the sewage that ran into Blackstone River because of peak flows. But we do have these peak flows, so we're looking to create a channel, once we remove the sediment, that will withstand the flow rates that this channel is exposing. And under photo 2, we do show you a channel that's 260 feet long, where we used everything from larger rock to drain a pond in 7 feet in Oxford, and then created the channel 260 feet long with subangular rock from grade, larger grade all the way down to handle much greater flows. There's 1 square mile draining to this channel that I show in the photo. So we're adept at creating channels that will withstand the flows that we believe we see here. Beyond that, Mr. Damasio might be explaining, I think the commission is still waiting, and there was some discussion or language from Mr. Flint about getting prepared, hopefully, to remove this material this summer while it's dry. I'm sure that's what the commission might be looking forward to, and Mr. Damasio, not speaking directly for him, but working under Mr. Paul Kowalas, working with National Grid to finally get an answer from National Grid on where this material can go. And that's for Mr. Damasio. I believe we talked today in his different avenues that he's pursuing through National Grid, and seeing if we can keep the material on our site or stockpile it on our site before it goes to some other location. And it appears the locations are pretty far away for this material to go if National Grid wants us to remove it to their locations. And that because of the amount of material and the cost for moving that material, but also the cost per cubic yard of that material is quite exorbitant. So they're working on seeing if we can remove it and keep the cost down. I believe he's going to talk about that. My work, I believe, is we're prepared to go. There were questions on the type of machinery being used here. We did explain it earlier. We re-explained that this is mostly a 75G John Deere mid-size excavator with a cleanup bucket, multiple laborers with hose, both cement hose and smaller hose, track truck to haul it up to the National Grid's crushed stone now driveway, which they have stabilized. We don't have to build a channel along the side of their driveway. I was there doing sampling last week during those peak flows when there was that problem with Blackstone because of that fast flow. All the water is going onto their crushed stone, 6-inch diameter, but they also built a sub-deep or swale as we're facing down gradient on the left-hand side of their drive, so that's deeper of crushed stone. All the water coming into their crushed stone off of Granite Street, it was absorbing into the ground and eventually flowing down and bypassing what we're going to be working. And that was our case, that we didn't want any storm event to come through our area while we're working. We do have the bypass piping system on the plan. 8-inch diameter is what's coming from underneath the road, and anything that isn't handled by that pipe that does go over Granite Street, again, will be handled by the crushed stone and the work that National Grid did that bypass water around our construction site. So we're looking at keeping our site free of overland flow during our process. We did explain approximately, I believe, how long it's going to take us to do this work. And we have a staging area across the street, again, for the material. But the material, if we do it during the dry, it shouldn't be mucky. It will be fairly dry even now when we auger down through it. We will salvage any plants that are in that upper wet meadow or meadow, and that would be elderberry and arrowwood. We'll salvage those, and then we talk about augmenting with other plants, both upland plants on the upland end and wetland plants in the center. We still don't expect to have hydric soils when we get down to the original A horizon, which will be our job to ensure we're getting down to that A, and then the hose and the handwork, which we do, to ensure that we leave minimal to no of the sediments behind, and we're on the original A horizon, which we did auger down to, so we know it's down there. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So just to back up a little bit and give the commission a refresher on the overall status of the enforcement order. So again, this enforcement order was issued back in early 2024 related to turbid stormwater discharge that was observed from the outfall on Granite Street, which was carried, from a pipe through the subject site across the street over on 198 Granite Street. So that enforcement order required two main components. One was a development of a plan to manage stormwater on site to prevent turbid discharges to the outfall, and also to remove the sediment that had accumulated down gradient, both within the wetland at the location of the outfall as well as further down gradient on city property. And as Glenn mentioned, the sediment depths range across the site, and those are kind of illustrated by the grading plan shown on the second sheet of this, which kind of compares existing grades to what the grades would be if excavated down to the A horizon that was found by the initial augering. So as far as logistics for implementing this, there are a couple pieces. Glenn talked about the what to do with the sediment. There's also a couple legal requirements on the city's end for work on city property. We need to develop a license agreement with the law department, which is currently in progress, to allow access to the city property to do the work. And then we also need to get confirmation from both Greater Worcester Land Trust and Mass Audubon that they are okay with this work proceeding, because this property is covered by a conservation restriction. So we need to make sure that they're that they find that this work is in line with the terms of that CR. So we anticipate being able to get an answer from Mass Audubon and Greater Worcester Land Trust pretty quickly. We were just waiting on kind of this final revised plan. And like I said, the law department's working on the license agreement currently, so that should also be turned around fairly quickly. I guess the unknown variable at this point in terms of timing is what to do with the sediment. Chris, I don't know if you can speak to how long you think it will take to find a location for that, or if that's known at this time.
Thank you. I'm going to roll.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it again. Thank you very much.
Right now, there's internal conversations in National Grid going on. You know, the push is to see if they'll allow us to remove that sediment. And we own land underneath the high tension in that corridor. Our land comes down the slope, and then there's quite a big area of flat or depressed land. We're hoping if they'll allow us to move it there, then it's contained. It can't migrate anywhere. And we offered up to indemnify them in any way, and so that's the push right now. Because when we started this, the discussions on this, the early indications from National Grid was that they actually said we can just probably move it to a different portion of their property. They weren't even asking us to get it off their property. And we've been saying right along, as everyone knows, that cement, you know, a lot of that came to be where it is before we owned the property, when the city owned it and ran it for years as a dump. A lot of that sediment landed there. A lot of that sediment comes down. We've witnessed it coming down National Grid's high tension lines on the other side of the road, and bringing sediments down, as well as town runoff. So, but we've never complained about removing it. But with the stance the National Grid is taking now, it's really makes it difficult, you know, financially to meet their goals. They want it, you know, they're giving us directions of, you know, places that are, you know, the trucking is just going to be astronomical. There's nothing close. They won't. So, but it does sound promising at this point, because there, you know, there was the talk of the indemnification, and it says that tells me that there's at least discussions going on within National Grid that if they're willing to entertain that, that means that they're leaning towards doing just that. The other thing I suggested to Paul today was that we reach back out and see if if nothing else, if they would allow us just to stockpile it. If we're trying to catch the dry season and we want to get this done right away, maybe just to stockpile it on our property and we'll wrangle the, where it goes from there. We're willing to do what needs to be done, but that's where we're at.
Okay. I mean, at this point, we don't have much more to say about any of this, correct?
So, I mean, as far as next steps go for the sediment removal, I think, once we get the green light from our partners holding the CR and we get the license agreement from the city, we'd be in a position where we could amend the enforcement order to require the implementation of this plan.
Okay.
I think we'd probably want to hold off on doing that until we get those other pieces in place, just so we don't have to go back
Understood.
and change it again.
But from a decision-making point of view, we're waiting for them to say, okay.
Yes.
We're okay with the plan. If they have the opportunity to move the sediment in stockpile it even before they resolve their disposition issue for the pile,
Right.
then we're okay with the stockpile being nearby. That's not part of what we're conditioning.
Right.
But I just want to make sure I understand is if we get all our ducks lined up, even if you haven't finished solving the sediment disposal, we could start this project and get it over with during the dry season, and then ultimately you'll keep the dirt, move the dirt.
Right, right.
Okay. Is
That's
that-
kind of what, we were hoping we could get done, because obviously working in the dry season is going to be a lot cleaner operation than trying to do it if the rains start coming again.
Right. And so did I lay that out?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I understand. So,
Do you think you might have an update potentially by the next meeting on August 3rd as far as what Grid is amenable to?
I'm sorry, Eric, could you repeat that?
I was just asking if you think you might have an update on Grid's position by our next meeting on August 3rd.
Yeah, I think we should have an answer by then, yeah.
Okay. Because I think we should also have answers from the two CR partners, and I would imagine we'd also have a license agreement ready by then. So I think at the next meeting, the commission can consider the amendment of the enforcement order to allow for the implementation of this plan at the next meeting. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, all right.
Sounds promising. It'd be nice to not see you again. Sorry, but
I'm sorry?
I said it would be nice to not see you again. I'm sure you understand
Love coming here
why.
and seeing everyone, but yeah, it'd be a lot nicer if we didn't have to.
I'll run into you at a restaurant somewhere. Okay.
All right, good
Yeah.
night, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, returning back to request for certificate of compliance to Lodi.
So this is for construction of a duplex. We did review this at the last meeting. It is within borderline subject to flooding, and the concern was they had installed fences along the property. So the commission had requested that a 6-inch gap be provided underneath that fence to allow floodwaters to easily move across the property. This property also had flood openings installed along, the basement or the garage openings to allow floodwater to move through. And so at this time, they have provided photos showing that a 6-inch gap has been created on all the fencing areas that we requested. So no concerns with this moving forward.
Is there a motion?
Motion to issue the order of conditions.
Second.
Certificate of- oh, sorry.
Certificate of compliance.
Yep.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Frattoni? Aye. Are there any other enforcement order updates?
All right, so this is a neighboring property to one of our COC requests that we had tonight. So this is at 88 Webster Street. So while I was out doing the certificate of compliance site inspection, I noticed that there was some riprap installed along the bank of Curtis Pond here. So we did reach out to the property owner, who also is the same property owner of 70 Webster Street. requesting that they come in to the commission to discuss what their plan was with the bank there. There is an existing order of conditions on this property, but it's for like a transformer pad installation. So Eric was out to the site back in, what was it, 2023. So this is kind of what the bank looked like versus what the bank currently looks like with the new riprap installed along there. So it's a very degraded bank as is. But they did install this riprap, which was within borderland subject to flooding as well, and also it goes right into the bank and into the water, basically. So they are going to come and discuss this at our next meeting, August 3rd. The engineer was away this week, so they're going to come in and discuss. We haven't issued an official enforcement order yet. It's just a violation notice, but we want them to come into the commission and discuss what happened.
So we're not voting on an enforcement
Yeah,
order?
nope, we're not voting to ratify anything. It's just,
All right.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, the reason for this was because the plows were getting stuck.
yep, this was a winter project that they took upon themselves
Right.
because their
And so-
plows were getting stuck in this area.
Do we suspect that they were plowing snow into the pond?
It's possible, yeah.
Okay, and since you've been to the site, is it just sheet flow? There was no drainage system on this property?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of on this one. Yeah, I don't know where the closest catch basin is.
So, I mean,
think it
just based on the
pours off.
erosion, it appears that the water is just running off the property down the
Yeah.
bank, and over the years has taken the asphalt with it, along with whatever else got to that point.
Yep.
Okay.
I think
So,
one of the things the commission will have to think about at the next meeting is just next steps in terms of what to require. I think, at a minimum, it needs a retroactive notice of intent that documents how this complies with performance standards for bank and bordering land subject to flooding. If this was a natural bank previously, I think the easy answer is just restore it. But restoring it to pre-existing conditions is not necessarily
right,
a goal here either.
the outcome you want.
So I think getting some input from their engineer and hopefully wetland scientist as well would be helpful. So we'll see what they kind of come back with as a response to the violation notice that we sent, and then figure out where to go from there at the next meeting.
Okay. All right, open space?
Just a reminder that we have a ribbon cutting tomorrow for Brooks Dairy Farm. It's only supposed to be 94 degrees by 5:30 p.m., so come and
But
join
it's
us.
shady.
Yeah, we are going to host it. We went out there today to kind of scope out where we were going to hold it, and we'll hold it kind of in the middle of the walking path that connects Romola Road to the Nelson Place Elementary School. It'll be kind of with a backdrop of trees that are higher up to the west, so it should be nice and shady where we meet. I think the city manager and district councilor and mayor are planning to speak on behalf of the city. Greater Worcester Land Trust also will be speaking. We've invited members of the Community Preservation Committee, since this is also a CPA-funded project. We invited representatives from the land grant program to attend who are not able to attend, but it should be nice. We haven't done this recently for a new open space acquisition, so just want to get some celebration of the new acquisition, and then we will have a optional walking tour of the property, maybe depending on the weather, and it'll be a quick one regardless, but Greater Worcester Land Trust did get out there last week to do some initial trail blazing and clearing, so it shouldn't just be bushwhacking through unimproved forest. It'll be actual paths that may not be well trodden down yet, but it won't just be crawling through brush. So
Okay.
if you're able to attend, that's great.
Active projects, anything?
Nothing from staff.
Okay, communications?
Yep, so communication to note is Mass DEP did withdraw their appeal of the 4 Brant Lane project. So last year, the commission approved a project in which the stream on the property was rerouted, and then ultimately DEP appealed it. They revised the plans to no longer reroute the stream and kind of use the existing stream channel and restore that stream channel. So that appeal has been withdrawn now that those new plans have been presented.
Do we know if work started in earnest on this project? Has anyone been out there yet?
I don't believe so.
No.
Yeah.
There was still, I mean, we did have that determination of applicability that allowed them to do some of the cleanup there, which is valid for 3 years, so in theory, they could be doing some of that stuff, but there shouldn't be any, like, large-scale site work until we do some sort of pre-construction conference.
Minutes from 6:22, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatoni? Aye. Updates to the ordinance?
Yep, so we're still continuing to progress the draft update for the regulations, just kind of working out final language for performance standards and for potentially updating the fee schedule. It's been a long time since the fee schedule has been updated, so just trying to work out those final kinks, and then we'll get that in front of the commission, ideally in August at some point, for any final feedback after kind of summer break or the reduced summer schedule of city council is over. We'll try to submit our recommendations for the update to the ordinance to city council, and if and when that's approved by city council, the commission can subsequently hold the public hearing for the update to the regulations, and then commission can adopt those. So I still have a red line draft up in the Google Drive. I'll try to keep updating that as we make changes, but again, really hoping to wrap up the drafting by this summer so that we can stay on track to get that actually implemented, both the ordinance and regulations this year.
Budget.
So this is a very, very minor adjustment to the budget that we had previously reviewed and the commission approved, I believe, back in February. So the only real change here was removing a line item for the Mass Floodplain Managers membership. That was actually an ineligible cost that was kind of added to the budget in error, and we replaced that with the annual dues for the Massachusetts Society of Municipal Conservation Professionals, or MSMCP annual dues, which allow for, it's an organization basically of conservation agents around the state that has training opportunities for staff. So that is an eligible expense. So we just swapped that in, and then also updated the balance based on the end of fiscal year numbers. So I think last time we had looked at this, we had a balance of $108,000 in the Wetlands Protection Fund, and that balance is currently up to $120,000. So we're spending less than we're taking in Wetlands Protection Act fees. And again, the way this works, the commission's basically allocated $20,000 a year from that. We could request an increase to that if we ever needed to, but in recent years, we haven't come close to spending that. So it's been more than enough to cover miscellaneous equipment and trainings and conference attendance and stuff like that. So yeah, so just wanted to, again, this is a really minor change, but just wanted to kind of also give an update on where the budget is at in terms of money in the account.
Doesn't require a vote or approval.
We should vote to approve
We
it
should
since it
vote
is
to
changed.
approve it, okay? Is there,
Motion to approve the budget, revised budget.
Second.
Commissioner?
Second.
Commissioner Canton?
Aye.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Aye.
Commissioner Nystrom?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatoni? Aye. Liaison updates, you're still off for the summer? Anything from the Quinsig?
Yep, so Lake Quinsig held their June meeting. The June meeting did focus on the discussion of wake boats and the use of wake boats on Lake Quinsig. There were speakers from both sides, people for and against the use of wake boats. The commission has not made any decisions, just wanted to have an open discussion and see how, people felt about the use of wake boats, so.
Is there an environmental impact? I would assume a wake boat creates wave action, which then creates potential erosion.
Right. So that is the concern. The discussion is do you restrict the wake boats so that they can only do it when they're, a certain distance away from the shores and that kind of thing. And yeah, so it's just kind of weighing those different options. And the concern also is the spread of invasives, because you usually take in, ballast water to create these wakes, essentially get your boat heavy enough to create these wakes. And then you can potentially transport things if you're not properly, emptying out your boat and, cleaning it out properly. So there's also that concern, for sure.
Okay. I'm sure that's been a fun discussion.
Yep.
Policies and procedures, any?
Nothing from staff.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Have a good night.
All right, have a good night.
Take care.